Hi team, and welcome to episode 30 of Runners Only with Dom Harvey. On this episode, rugby superstar Tyla Nathan-Wong. You should be, I feel like, more famous and more well-known than what you are. You know what I mean? Like you are, I suppose, like the female Aaron Smith.
I'll take that.
I don't know if you've had sex in the toilet in the airport.
No, 100% not. I haven't done that.
She's still only 28, so she's got years of playing ahead of her, but already she's won silver and gold Olympic medals, a Commonwealth Games gold, a couple of Rugby Sevens World Cup titles, and she's been twice named New Zealand Sevens Player of the Year. Oh, as well as that, she was a model for Anne Geddes as a baby, something that we do chat about in this conversation. I loved this podcast so much. Tyla is such an easy conversationalist and a real open book, and I really hope you guys enjoy this one as well. Let's get into it. Tyla Nathan-Wong.
Hey, Runners Only, yeah, let's get it started. Hey, this is Runners Only with Dom Harvey. Fast paced, slow and steady, anywhere you coming. Just wanna connect for everyone who loves running. This is Runners Only, yeah, let's get it started. Hey, this is Runners Only with Dom Harvey. Fast paced, slow and steady, anywhere you coming. Just wanna connect for everyone who loves running. Hey, Runners Only with Dom Harvey.
Runners Only with Dom Harvey and Tyla Nathan-Wong. Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Tyla the creator. Tyla, have you got like a Tyla the name?
They call me Tiny here in the Sevens,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean Tyla the playmaker.
Okay. I like that. Let's go with that.
Hey, so good. Where are we, by the way? What is this place? The Adams?
Adams Centre of High Performance. So this is where we're based for Rugby Sevens. Men and women's are out of here, and yeah, we're all, yes, you could say centralised. All have to live down here and train out of this epic building every single day almost.
Yeah, it's a sick-looking gym here. Is it named after Dame Valerie?
No, I don't think it's named after Dame Valerie, but I'm not too sure whose it's named after. It's connected to the University of Waikato.
Right. Hey, it is great to finally sit down with you. We've been going backwards and forwards on the DMs for months now.
We have been, yeah.
You agreed to come on like at the beginning of 2022, and then I'm like, oh, should we do it this week? And you're like, no, I'm in Paris. Or should we do it this week? No, I'm doing this. Busy girl.
Oh, busy, yeah. The life of a rugby player, especially a Sevens rugby player, you know, as the world's opened back up, we're starting to travel a lot more and being able to go back to more tournaments. And so, yeah, it's finally good to have you down here at our base and, yeah, to meet you in person finally.
Yeah, likewise. Let's just run through some of your achievements. There's 2 World Cups. By the way, correct me if I get anything wrong.
Okay, sweet as.
2 World Cups, an Olympic silver medal, an Olympic gold medal, Commonwealth Games gold medal, 6 World Series titles, first person to reach 1,000 points.
Yeah, that's yep.
Fuck, that's full noise, eh?
Yeah, it's I've been a part of this team since 2012. So I was only 17 when I first made the squad and been there ever since. So we're going on, I think this is my 11th season, and there's about maybe 3 other girls in the same situation. So it's been a pretty long career growing up in this program and achieved some pretty wicked stuff with this team.
So you're the youngest player ever?
I think that's correct, yeah. I think I was the youngest player ever to debut for this team at the time, yeah.
So are we talking Black Ferns or Sevens? Sevens, right.
Black Ferns Sevens, yes.
Okay, so you make the team when you're 17. Are you still at school then? Or
so I was in my last year of high school, year 13 at Linfield College. And
where's Linfield?
It is in Auckland, central west Auckland, not far from Mount Ross School.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, I made the team in my last year of high school. Back then we weren't full-time. We were classed as part-time athletes, and so we were having to wake up and train at like 4:30 a.m. in the morning. I would then go to do a full day of school and then train again in the afternoon. And that was the same with other girls who had jobs, so they could fit that in their lifestyle. But as everything started getting, professional, but in regards to the demand as well, it was more the demand of us as athletes started getting higher, and so it became impossible to, I guess, hold down a job for the girls because they were having to take, eventually so much leave that it ended up being unpaid from their work and all that kind of stuff. So it threw a bit of a debacle in the thing in regards to New Zealand Rugby, and then alongside the Players Association ended up coming up with contracts. I think that might have been in 2013, and we slowly progressed from semi-professional and now to full-time professional athletes.
And are things good now? You mentioned to me just before that you've got a mortgage, so you've got your own.
I got my house,
which is cool.
I think this is my coming up third year in my house. So, yeah, it's amazing to say that I'm a full-time professional rugby player. I get to do this for a living. This is my job. This wasn't possible, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
For females especially, males, it's always been around. It's been around for a while. But for a female rugby player, it's just bloody incredible.
Yeah, it feels like things are getting better all the time. Like at the time that we're recording this in July, an announcement was made about women's cricket in this country.
I know. I saw that this morning. I was like, wow, that is fantastic. Same thing. They play the same sport as their male counterparts, but it's also awesome to see the support from their male counterparts as well.
Yeah.
And that was exactly the same with us in rugby. Like, we had some of the All Blacks and all that kind of stuff supporting us in order to get those contracts initially, and then now being on equal pay as well.
Yeah. Is the money for you okay?
Yep, so with the men and women sevens, our tiers that we have are equal, which is pretty cool. And
amazing.
And it's 100% livable wages
right.
and salary, something like that. Yeah.
Because with those achievements that I read out before, like Olympic gold, silver, Commonwealth Games gold, World Cups, yada yada yada. I mean, you should be. I feel like more famous and more well known than what you are. You know what I mean? Like you are, I suppose, like the female Aaron Smith.
I'll take that.
I don't know if you've had sex in a toilet in the airport.
No, 100% not. I haven't done that.
No, but you know what I mean? Like financially, I'm sure he's in a far better position than what you are.
Yeah, obviously our pay and stuff doesn't compare to, I guess, what the All Blacks are on. But like anything, it is a great start for us. But we still would
it's going in the right direction.
Yeah.
It
is going in the right direction, and it's also cool to see now the 15s girls on board as well, and them getting more support too behind them financially to be able to commit full time, because it is a juggle. Like back in the day, you were like I was balancing school, girls were balancing work. Your priorities are all over the place. Plus, then you chuck in rugby, you chuck in life, and it's just hard to be able to balance all of that. And then, so when you know that you're financially secure or you're getting something from what you do that you're putting everything into, it just takes that,
the pressure
away, 100%. You're not having, some of these girls have families and have young ones, and so it takes that pressure away from having to provide another way for them.
Also, if you're that good at what you do, and you're very good, it wouldn't be fair that you get to 30, 35 whenever you choose to retire and have nothing to show for it.
Yeah, so that's why I'm very, we're very grateful to be in the position that we are. There's a lot of sports out there that still aren't, fully backed and supported. They're having to find their own ways or get funding from other places. So to be in the position we are very grateful for it. But at the same time, you don't want to just be grateful. We deserve to be where we are. Yeah, you want to thrive, not just survive. Yeah, exactly. Hey, I just remembered I didn't start recording, so I'll just get my camera on and record. So straight into it. I've got like a little bit of content for the TikTok. Cool. So the podcast is called Runners Only. So we need to tick off the running box. It's like a guarantee on every podcast there has to be at least a little bit of run chat. A little bit of running. Well, we do run, right? Yeah, you run a lot. I believe also you were really good at school. You're like a queen of the cross country or something. Yeah, I was. So I won every single school cross country that I ever competed in, and then also I think it was an intermediate. Made a couple of trips to like the interzone Auckland stuff, and my first year there I ended up placing second. And here I was running on like bare feet and stuff against all these like, pretty intense, Harriet type runner people, and came second in Auckland in intermediate school age. So yeah, I had a little bit of running behind me, I guess, and it definitely helps in the sport of sevens. Just naturally good? Yeah, so just naturally really, like, thank God for my genetics from my parents. I just enjoyed going out there, and I think it's more so the competitive edge too. Like any competition, I'm in it and I'm going to push no matter what type thing. And it just came naturally to me, just running longer distances. And Do you run now? Like if you don't have to. So say you arrive in Paris for a tournament and you're jet lagged and you got a couple of days before you have to get into things. Would you go for a run around the city or anything? Or no? Does running seem like work? Yeah. It's more so for me. If we arrive, I'll jump on a bike or something like that, spin the legs over. But we do get the odd days where it is self-directed, or we've come back from a trip and we've landed back in the country. We get a few days off and we get a few different aerobic options given to us. That's when I'll most likely go out and jump on the road and go for a little bit of a 20, 30-minute run type thing.
Right. Wow. Were you just one of these kids? Were you just naturally good at everything? Do you think?
Yeah, I guess so.
Don't be humble. Don't be humble.
Yeah, I guess so. In that regard, like, especially in regards to sport, like I just loved anything and everything. Like, in high school, I played every single sport pretty much available. I was doing the hockey, I was playing soccer, touch, rugby, tag, did swimming, taekwondo. Like I just was excited about giving anything new a go pretty much, and any new challenge or anything that tested me, I was happy to put my hand up and step forward and give it a go at least once.
Yeah. So rugby and sevens in the early years, when because you're 28 now.
Yes, I am.
So when you're sort of like primary school age, intermediate age, were there like girls teams?
No, 100%. There were no girls teams at all, and so I must have been maybe around 9. Something like that. We had a rugby team at primary school, and so no girls were playing, and I was like, I want to play, and so I went and registered for the team, and then the principal actually had to go and ask my parents to make sure it was okay, and they had to obviously go through a few channels to make sure that a girl playing in a boys' competition was okay too. And yeah, that's kind of where I had my first taste of contact sport, because back then it was actually contact. I think now it's more ripper at those
rugby,
rugby at those sort of ages,
yeah.
But back then that was contact, and went to my first rugby tournament and absolutely loved it. Got photos still, my little headgear. My dad was there supporting me on the sideline.
So
and my mum, and I think it was like the maroon burgundy colour of our school, and then I got picked by, I think it was our coach or principal at the time, to take the ball up and go get it signed by the great late John Alomu, and that's the first ever All Black I got to meet. So that was incredible experience, yeah.
Unreal. So how old were you then?
I think it was like 8 or 9. It must have been 8 or 9 around then, yeah.
Right, so was that sort of when Jonah was in his prime?
It must be, yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, well, that's 20 years ago now.
Yeah, and how were the boys and having a girl on the boys team? Were they okay?
They were awesome. I was friends with all those boys in the team, and they obviously knew how competitive and sporty I was at school anyway, and they absolutely were fine with it.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, because I've had Sophie Devine on the podcast, the captain of the women's cricket team, and she's like 4 years older than you, but she had a sort of a similar experience in that there were no like boys cricket teams. No girls cricket teams, so she had to play with the boys. And she said some of the boys were a bit weird until she sort of proved herself, but she said that the parents were the ones that were weird about it. Like
having her on the boys team. I don't get that.
Yeah, you didn't have any sort of experience like that?
Not that I can remember. No, not that I can remember. I think the boys in the team knew how like sporty and competitive I was anyway, because I'd pretty much win most things, whether it be athletics, cross country at school. So they were more than happy to have me on the team. Really, I don't think it was more so. Actually, it was more so the opposition being like, oh, there's a girl in their team type stuff. And I do remember, I still remember it quite vividly, like this boy saying something like, oh, there's a girl in the team, and then ended up going out there and we ended up smashing their team. So that was pretty cool.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, it's going to be, what sort of age are we talking, like intermediate sort of age?
That was primary. And then, that was primary. But I actually played league. League was my first ever sport, so I would have been about 6 years old playing with my cousin in an all-boys team as well. My dad and uncle coached us. And I played for Newland Stags and then Ponsonby Ponies as well. Right.
Why didn't you stick with league?
Well, for girls, there just wasn't really anything. League was very, there wasn't much. But I come from a league family, so I've loved league and still love league to this day. I, secretly watch it more than rugby.
Is that so? That so?
That is 100% so, yeah. I'm
Interesting.
watching the NRL, the NRLW, like all of that.
Yeah, do you have a favourite team in the NRL?
I don't really have like
the Cree dance would be the Warriors, you should say.
I always support the Warriors, right? Because they're the New Zealand-based team, so 100% always support the Warriors. Good to see them get the win over the weekend.
Finally,
it was good to see that happen, and for them to be home, because they're far out, they've sacrificed so much just to keep that competition alive. But support the Warriors. But for me, it's more about players like Jonathan Thurston was a player that I enjoyed watching, and also the likes of Darren Lockyer and all that kind of stuff too.
Yeah, maybe you can explain I know very little about sport, so what's the sort of difference between rugby and league? And I suppose what I mean by saying that is, so you got someone like Benji Marshall, right? Yes. Phenomenal league player.
Yes.
Makes the switch to rugby, plays for the Blues, doesn't do very well. Then you have like Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, phenomenal league player, in a shitty team that hardly ever wins. Then he makes the jump to rugby, plays for the Blues, and excels, and now he's in the All Blacks.
Yeah, so one thing is Roger had a rugby background to begin with. So he, I think, started in rugby, then went to league, and then came back to rugby. So he already had a bit of that, rugby IQ and knowledge behind him. Yes, he hadn't played in, rugby for a while and had advanced across the years since he had been out of it. So I think that was probably one of the main things. I don't know if Benji had that rugby background,
right?
But the games are very different, right? How you do play it. Like obviously you got 6 tackles in league, an unlimited amount of time with the ball in rugby. If you hold on to it the entire half, and then you hold on to it the entire half type thing. And then just how you play, like whether you're playing flatter, a lot of the time. League, if you watch it live, like watching on the TV, it's amazing. But you watch it live, you actually see a lot of the ball plays, a lot of the work is just around the ball carrier and the tacklers. A lot of these other players can kind of switch off for a little bit while that occurs. Whereas rugby, if someone gets tackled, people are flying in there to try and secure the ruck, so it's going back and forth. Whereas in league, you get tackled, there's about, you, the ball carrier, and a couple of tacklers on you. You're just the ones fighting, whereas everyone else is kind of just getting in position.
Right.
So it's a bit more constant. I think looking at league, though, it looks a lot more physical. There's a lot more,
harder hits.
They get away with a lot more too. Some tackles that happen in league, you won't be getting away with those in rugby. You'll get either yellow or red card.
Yeah, rugby seems very strict now, doesn't it?
It is very strict. But
is it a good thing?
Yeah, at the end of the day, follow the rules, you'll be fine. Like, you can still see some massive, incredible hits going on, and at the end of the day, it is player welfare and safety. If we can protect the players' heads and from them getting concussions, all the time, that means we'll have better longevity in players being able to play.
Yeah.
And, when it comes to, you've seen the likes of the different stuff coming out around dementia and
yeah, Carl Heyman, the ex-All Black, in his 40s.
And not just in like rugby, but league, right. And then, in the NFL too, it's all out there. So the better we can protect our players while still allowing it to be entertaining and that contact sport that we all love and enjoy I'm all for it.
Have you been concussed?
Yep, no, 100%. Yeah, I have been. I've had, I'd say, 2 major ones and then a third not so bad one.
Right.
But yeah, it's not nice. It's probably one of the worst, I guess, injuries you could say that you can have, because unlike a sprained ankle, you can treat that, you can treat the stuff around it, you can get rehab given to you to thing it, and you can really track the progression of it. The concussion, it's all very individual. Your concussion to my concussion could be 100% different. And that's something I've noticed with the 2 major ones I had. They were very different. The first one I had back in, I think it was 2013, got it in the Rugby World Cup final, landed awkwardly on top of the hip of a player when I tackled them, and it just got me, like, I kind of ricocheted and bounced off. I got up, and it was just spinning around me. Everything was spinning. I went to run and move, fell straight back to the ground. And then all I remember is the ball coming, like they've kicked the ball back, and then I just picked it up and I just hear my teammates yell, "Kick it out!" Kicked it out. We won the Rugby World Cup final in Russia in 2013. And that one, though, I passed the test, like cleared everything, but I still had symptoms. And it wasn't until a day or 2 later I ended up getting like a delayed concussion, so my emotions were all over the place. I was crying for no reason, felt really anxious and a bit panicky. Whereas my next one I had was more around the nausea, like felt really sick and dizzy all the time and stuff like that. So it was very different experiences, but grateful for the team that were around me to make sure that I progressed and did everything right to get back to being normal, yeah. And it's a process. Like one day you could go for a run, a light run, and then you got to judge, am I like, what symptoms are coming on? If none, then sweet, you get to go and do something again the next day. But if symptoms come on, you have to stop and rest that next day. So it's very back and forth. You could go 2 steps forward to come, 3 steps back.
Yeah, right. God, how frightening.
Yeah, it is frightening, because you're like, well, this isn't me. Like, this isn't me. I'm not this emotional, anxious type person. What's going on type thing. And, for me, I always say you've only got one brain. So anytime I get a head knock or, there's another girl on our team, like, just take your time, because you want to be right before you come back, because there's a lot of stuff around secondary impact syndrome too, and that's just not good.
Yeah, that's a good motto. But some of us don't even have a whole brain. Some of us. I recorded a podcast with Kieran Reid, and we talked about concussion. We talked about his head injuries, and that sounds awful. Like just the delayed effect. Like he told me that he'd be driving in his car, turn his head a couple of times to look in the blind spot, and then it would bring on like massive, awful, nauseating migraines. Yeah,
so that's another thing, the headaches, the migraines, but even just my my ability to construct an email, and put sentences right. I'd send an email to my dad, and he replied back like, this email's all over the place. It doesn't make sense. And then I didn't realise when I sent it, but just the ability to even just construct a simple email to someone wasn't working for me at the time either. So
but you weren't aware that your email didn't make sense.
No, I wasn't. No.
So you thought so it's almost like you're wasted in a way.
Yeah, it was crazy. So that one in 2013 probably was one of the worst ones I've had.
That's 9. So that was in the early stages of your career when you're still like 19.
Yeah. I had just literally turned 19 the next day.
Right. Oh, wow. God, what a shitty birthday.
Yeah, I know, right?
Well, you win the World Cup, yay. But then you get the concussion.
Yeah.
What other injuries have you had? Have you anything really bad? Were you pretty lucky?
What was it? I had a string of bad. So 2015, end of 2015, I got a real bad concussion in Dubai. So that put me out for like 2 or so months. And then started 2016. So this is the Olympic year. I ended up returning from that concussion, I think Feb before our tournament in Brazil, and went and played. And I think it was our first or second game, ended up partially tearing my kicking leg, my quad. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't realise I had done it though. I just knew it was a sharp pain. So I played the entire tournament. And then it wasn't until we got home and we did scans, they're like, whoopsie, you've actually partially torn your quad. So that then put me out for another couple of months. And then I was able to return for the Canada and Atlanta tournament. So Atlanta was first, and I just went as the travelling 13th reserve just to give me that extra time to recover from my quad. So then the following week I was like, sweet, got Canada, excited, doing all the trainings. This is my first tourney back since, Brazil. I'm excited. And then it would have been, I think, a day or two before, 2 days out from tournament, we were doing our last proper training run and caught awkwardly in a ruck and actually dislocated my left kneecap.
Oh,
yeah.
Shit, that sounds gnarly.
It was the worst pain I've ever felt, and it didn't go back in either. It stayed out, and so... Did someone from medical try and pop it back in? Yeah, so our physio, our poor physio, it was her first, it's our physio now, Kate, and it was her first solo tournament with us. So she was she wasn't our physio at the time, but she was filling in for our main physio. And so it was her first tournament solo by herself, and then this happens, and she's like, oh my God, what the heck? But thankfully she was able to, push it back in and get it into place, but... Oh, it was next level pain. I think I went into shock too because I had the feeling of just wanting to faint and everything like that. But it was, don't do that. Don't dislocate your kneecap, guys. Not recommended.
Yeah. I don't think anyone's writing that down on their phone. I'm going to put that in the notes section of my phone. Don't dislocate your knee.
But at the same time, that was 4 months out from the Olympic Games, and so I thought my Olympic Games was done. I thought
for what year?
2016. Rio Olympics. I thought that was me done. I thought I wouldn't be able to get back from something like that. And so my dream that I had, since a kid was potentially over. But thankfully, I, did all the rehab, listened to the support medical people, did everything I could possible to get back, and I did. So I was able to make it back into the team, get selected, and make my, Olympic debut.
And that's when you won the silver medal.
That's when we got the silver medal, yeah.
Were you, let's talk about that. Were you happy? I mean, it's your first Olympic experience. And so winning a medal, I suppose, is awesome. But what was the mentality like of you personally and the team? Were you happy with the silver, or were you kind of gutted not to get the gold?
The initial reaction was 100% gutted. For any team sport or that tournament style thing, is that's not a race. You don't win the silver. you lose to get the silver. You know what I mean?
Second place is the first loser.
Yeah, it's not like a race where, a 100-meter race where you're all racing and, you win the silver medal or you win the gold or the bronze. So, you win gold, you're elated. You win bronze, I won a medal.
Slipped
in. Stoked. I still won that game to get that medal. To get silver... You lose that, that you lose the gold pretty much. And so I don't know if anyone's seen the footage or, remember watching that. We were, pretty distraught when that happened. Pretty emotional, just knowing that, how hard we had been working to...
Sorry, just behind the scenes. I'm just trying to...
Do you want to put that behind the coffee cup?
Sorry, I'm just trying to prop my phone up on an empty take my coffee cup. Oh, that was good.
There we go.
That was good, balancing the phones.
Yeah, so we were pretty distraught, really, and...
Did it make you more? Must have made you even hungrier, I guess, for the next campaign.
It fueled the fire for the next campaign, 100%. But back then, like, we were gutted, and it wasn't until we had a chat with Emma Twigg, and she was like, first of all, only I can't remember exactly, but it was something around like, first of all, only a certain amount of people make it to the Olympics, and then only a smaller portion get a medal. So she's like, be bloody proud of what you girls have achieved. And obviously we've seen her career. She was so close to getting those medals, those gold, finished fourth, I think, a couple of times, and it wasn't until Tokyo that she finally
got a gold,
which was amazing to see, like, all her hard work too. And so that pretty much fueled our fire for that entire campaign, especially us girls who had been there in 2016, which was a large portion of our Tokyo squad, really. And so, that fueled it. Even though we weren't thinking about it necessarily every single day, it was just,
ticking away in the back of the mind,
that feeling of, like, that disappointment and all that kind of stuff. And so when we did eventually get to Tokyo and won that game in the final against France and found out we were champions, if you saw that too, my ugly face cry was all around the world.
I didn't see that. Are you an ugly cry?
Oh, well, I was then. I'm not usually, but
not as it can't be as bad as Kim Kardashian.
I don't think so.
So I've had Hayden Wild on the podcast. So he's the triathlete. He won a medal at Tokyo last year, and I asked him about his Olympic experience because it was a very, very weird Olympics last year, wasn't it, due to COVID?
It was.
But he's got nothing to compare it to. But you, on the other hand, you do. Like you experienced normal Olympics in 2016 and surreal Olympics in 2020. What's the difference between the two?
Oh, it was 100% different. Like, it would have been I just know that would probably have been one of the greatest Olympics if all the Japanese people and everyone else was able to come in and support, because I know the Japanese just, first of all, they love New Zealand, they love rugby, and it would have been amazing in that stadium of like 60,000 people.
Yeah, because who was there? Just no one.
No one, pretty much. It was just what do you call it? People at the stadium, like the volunteers and the officials, and then just support staff from each team. It was empty. Like, you could hear yourself out on the field, which was crazy. So, it was very different. We were pretty much, you arrive, you compete, you leave. That wasn't the case in Rio. Like, you arrive, you compete, you get to stay on if you want, you get to support the other athletes, go to their events, all that kind of stuff. And that's what I loved about Rio. We're a team, a part of a wider New Zealand team, and we were able to meet new athletes, make friends, go and support them in their sports, and just really create this awesome environment in regards to the whole NZ team, which was so much fun. And being, just able to just chill out a bit after competition and have some fun at the end of the days too, whereas this was just like, nah, boom, 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 gone. Didn't even get to celebrate our gold, really, because, when we came home in a quarantine hotel for 2 weeks.
Christchurch. So you win the gold medal, and then so then what happens after that?
Literally, the next day we were on a plane back to New Zealand, straight into a quarantine hotel in Christchurch. We were there for 2 weeks. So that's when it was the 2-week time. First week was awesome because I was tired and fatigued, so I was just sleeping, and then the Olympics were still on. So we were still able to watch, watch Lisa Carrington win her gold medal and all that kind of stuff. Second week was a lot harder. It was a lot harder, just we had already been away from home for 2 months by then too, so I was missing home and missing my partner and all that kind of stuff, so I couldn't wait to get out of there. And then we got home, and literally a day or two later, we're in a national-wide lockdown. So it was, great. So I couldn't even see my family or anything like that. So it wasn't, I hadn't seen my family. So from going away and all that kind of stuff, it was 8 months between seeing my family the last time. So I hadn't seen my family in 8 months. And for me, and if anyone knows, I'm quite a family-oriented person, and I try and get up to see them as much as I can. And so knowing that I hadn't seen them for 8 months, and then eventually reuniting with them and showing them, the gold medal and stuff was pretty amazing, because they had planned to come over to Tokyo like they did in Rio. So they were there. That was the cool thing too. When you ran out in Rio, you just saw this section, like a sea of black of all our family, friends and supporters there. You ran out in Tokyo, it was just, just nothing, just empty. But at the same time, I think we were just so focused, we didn't care. Like, whether people were there or not, we were just so focused and knew what we were there to do. We were there for a job, there to go out there, play some incredible rugby, and bring home
get the job done.
Yeah, get the job done pretty much.
From the perspective of you, kicking goals, is it easier with no people there?
Honestly, whenever there's a crowd or not, like I just zone out anyway. Like my full attention is what's happening on the field and being present on the field at that moment. So, you know, whether the stadium's filled with 50,000 people or not, I just don't really, it doesn't really bother me too much.
So if someone's booing you, if I'm yelling out, Tyler, you suck, I hope you miss it, you manage to zone everything out.
Yeah, pretty, like, to a certain extent, really, yeah. So obviously I'll hear it because I got ears and,
and it hurts
you know,
your feelings.
I can hear, obviously, and I'll hear it, but I'm just so much into focusing on my process and what I have to do, type thing. And crowds actually make it a lot harder to hear yourself on the field or for your teammates to hear you and vice versa. So the coolest thing about having an empty stadium, all my teammates heard me.
Oh, how good. Okay, so let's talk about your family for a bit since you brought that up. So you're part Māori, part Chinese.
Yes, correct, and European.
Yes. So your granddad, you call him Gong Gong?
Gong Gong, yes.
Gong Gong. What does that mean?
So that's pretty much grandfather in Chinese. Right. So he's full Chinese, which makes my mum half, and then me quarter Chinese, and then Māori from my dad's side and European from both sides too. So it's a bit of English, Irish mix.
Jeez, you're all over the place.
Yeah, a bit of fruit salad, eh?
And are you quite connected with all your different roots and cultures?
To a certain degree. So my dad, when he was growing up, he didn't have the easiest lifestyle growing up, and so he had to do a lot of things for himself, him and his siblings. But they weren't.
Where did he grow up?
He grew up in West Auckland, his family's from Poroti, which is kind of this tiny town west of Whangarei, up Northland bound. Yeah. So love Northland.
Why didn't he have an easy time growing up?
Just his parents. There was about seven kids and all that kind of stuff, and so they didn't have a lot of money at all. And so
a lot of mouths to feed.
A lot of mouths to feed, and all that kind of stuff. And so he had a tough upbringing, and so he. They didn't speak or weren't really connected to their Māori side either. So his dad didn't speak it, he didn't speak it, and none of his siblings did. So.
It's terrible, but I don't think it was a thing. I think how old's your dad? What's your dad's age?
My dad is. How old's my mum? How old am I? Wait, let me see.
28 plus.
I think he might be. Wait, I think he's like 51.
Right, so he's probably almost at the cusp or at that age where if you even tried to speak Māori in school, you got told off.
Yeah, well, definitely his parents, where it wasn't allowed at all, and
it's alarming, isn't it?
It is, and so we didn't have that connection growing up at all, and so for me, it's been about trying to build that connection again, and being in this team and this environment, we're very culturally aware, and there's a lot of girls that do know their background, so it's awesome just to continue to learn from them, like learn our language, the tikanga behind it all, and different stuff like that. So that's been an awesome thing, and then it's opened my eyes to been wanting to go down that journey around my Māori side and to learn more about it. Previous to the last few years, I didn't even really know my pepeha, and I couldn't even, say it to anyone. Whereas now I know my pepeha, I can say it off the top of my head type thing.
What is? You have to excuse my ignorance. What's a pepeha?
It's kind of just like whenever you go to a setting, whether it be formal or formal, it's like an introduction of where you go. So it's like your mountain, your
tribe.
River, your tribe, your marae, your iwi, all that kind of stuff. Right. So that's kind of what you go through when you introduce yourself to.
Oh, so like the 660 song.
Yeah. It is 100%. Right. So it is exactly that. So so that's something that I now know, which is pretty cool. And I went to my sister, my dad, and me. We took a day trip up to our marae in Poroti, and I hadn't been there since I was a baby, so I didn't even remember it. So we went there, and it must have been 3 or so years ago now, 3+ years ago, that we went there for the first time, really, when you think about it, and got to actually see our marae and the area that, our ancestors and stuff come from and connect back to. So that was a pretty spiritual and, connecting Wairua type experience for us. So that was cool. But, I'm continuing to go down that journey and that process and learning, our language of Te Reo Māori and all that kind of stuff. For me, when it comes to the Chinese side, I probably had a little bit more of connection to that because I was mainly brought up around my mum's side, even though we do still have that connection with my dad's side. But yeah, mainly brought up around that. But even then, my granddad, my Gung Gung, He's Kiwi-born, first generation in New Zealand. Grew up playing rugby league, very Kiwi. And
that's the craziest thing, right?
Yeah.
Like so he's the first member of your family born in New Zealand.
Yes.
What year was he born? How old is he?
We're
going to do that thing again.
Yeah, I know. Now I'm going to do math.
what
is he, like 82, 83, yeah.
So I'm thinking of like a Chinese man playing rugby league in New Zealand like 60 years ago.
Not common at all. I think he was the first full-blooded Chinese man to represent Auckland, and he would have actually gone on to play for the Kiwis, but he broke his leg and missed all.
Oh, was he that good?
Yeah, no, he was legit. He was legit. He played with the likes of any rugby league supporters out there know some of the greats. He played with the likes of Roger Bailey and all those guys. So yeah, he was amongst some of the greats of New Zealand rugby, and he played alongside them. And so yeah, he was that good. He could have been a Kiwi, but just the stars didn't quite align for him back in the day. But yeah, it definitely was not common for a full-blooded Chinese man to be playing rugby league back in the day. And so, his mum, his parents, they barely spoke English, and they definitely did not support him playing, a very non-traditional Chinese sport.
What did they want him to play?
Oh, I think they just wanted him to help in the market garden and all that kind of stuff, So that was, they kind of frowned upon that for a bit. So he was I think 7 years old, had to, clean his own uniform and everything, his own boots and stuff, because they were like, no, we don't want anything to do with it. And
right. So if you can play, but it's not.
Yeah, well, you can play, but I got nothing to do with it type thing. That's kind of how it was back then. Yeah.
Shit, I can't imagine life would have been easy back. I'm just trying to think of racism in New Zealand back then.
100%. There's still a lot of racism today, but yeah, definitely him growing up, there was a lot of racism. They got stones chucked at them and everything, called a whole bunch of different names.
Actual
100%, yeah. One of our cousins, my mum's cousins, actually lost an eye because of kids throwing stones at her when she was younger.
That's terrible.
Yeah, so it was pretty bad back then. So, and still not great. Could still not be great today. But I think we are, trying to head in the right direction and all that kind of stuff. But now,
what about you? Have you experienced much?
I personally haven't experienced. Obviously, there's been the odd mocking of the name and everything.
Really? Like what?
Like Nathan-Wong, and then they're like, oh, there's nothing Wong, and all that kind of stuff,
Right.
Kids, kids.
Not out of, you haven't had that out of school, though. That's
not out of school. So I've obviously been mixed myself, I haven't had to experience that type of stuff that my gungung or my mum and that would have experienced. But there's still that stuff around, when we go to these events for my Chinese side, that kind of feeling when you were a kid, okay, we don't look like everyone else, are we Chinese enough to be here type thing, no, actual, you stick out a little bit. We obviously, because back then, my gungung, they wanted him to marry a Chinese woman, but nope, he decided and picked my nana, who's full European, and they met, I think they were 16 or 17, married at 18, but that relationship wasn't supported initially by his parents either, because, she's a white lady marrying a Chinese boy, and that's what they didn't want. But thankfully from his, I think it was his auntie and uncle, no, she's a good girl, so let it happen. And they ended up loving her. She learnt the language, Chinese, and was able to communicate with them and everything, so they grew to love her, and loved her to the day they died. Your
great-grandparents, I can just imagine them in the market garden and their Kiwi-born sons playing rugby league, hooking up with the European chicks. They must have been like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, 100%. I could see it, 100%.
We've done the wrong thing.
Oh, but lucky they allowed it all to happen, because I want to be here.
Yeah. Well, everything happens for a reason.
It does.
That's great. I've seen you on TV on various things over the years with your gungung. You seem like you've got a really close relationship, tight as.
Yeah. He's supported me in everything I do, and still does. So yeah, it's pretty cool. And then him alongside my dad, we they were the two that taught me the basic skills. My dad wouldn't actually let me pass, how you can spiral a rugby ball. So my dad wouldn't let me spiral a rugby ball until I was like 13. He would teach me how to just pass it and use my wrist to kind of flip
why?
it.
Just to get the basics down first?
Basics down first and, really strengthen my wrist and ability just to throw a basic, flat ball type pass. And that's all that was really required in touch. But then as my wrist strength built up, that then allowed me to then be able to chuck a good long spiral pass. And I'm grateful for that because I can chuck some good passes now,
You're doing okay. You're doing all right.
So thanks, Dad.
Yeah. Are your parents still together?
Yep, they're still together. So how am I? I am 28, so they are 29 years married this year.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it's September. I think that's right,
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, so they're still going strong.
Yeah.
It's 29 years married.
Yeah, that's great. And how many other siblings? You must be, if 29 years married, you're 28, so you must have been the first.
Yes, so I'm the oldest. I've got a younger sister, Shay. If I'm 28, she's 26, I think. Yeah, I think, 25. She's 25, turning 26 next year. And so she's, we're complete opposite. So she loves sport, loved playing sport, did rugby, but wasn't as, I guess, passionate or as driven in that regards, in the sporting regards as me. But she's amazing what she does now. She works at Sky Sport as assistant producer or something like that.
Right.
Got a
it's good that you know what your sister does.
Yeah, sorry, Shay. In the Sky Sport department.
It's the same with me and my sister. I've got no idea what she does.
Yeah, but she's pretty amazing in her job, and then she's got a double major, Bachelor's Arts and screen production and all that kind of stuff. So she loves the real media side, the photography, the videography, all that kind of stuff, and editing and all that. So I think she wants to be get into film and all that kind of stuff as well. But she's pretty incredible. Some of the stuff you see, the content you see on my Instagram and stuff, she's had a hand and helped me, edit that and put it all together. We're kind of I'll come up with the concept, the idea, and then she'll help me bring it to life. So
yeah, amazing.
She's
Teamwork.
cool. That teamwork, 100%. And then there's my little brother David. He's, what year is it? 22. So he's 22 now.
That's easy.
That's easy. I know. Whatever the year is, that's how old he is. And so he's we're very similar built. We're that tall kind of lanky thing. Whereas my sister, she's a bit more shorter, a bit stockier, a bit more muscly. And so she always was like, "Damn it, why did you guys get the height?" She followed my mum. Me and my brother followed my dad. But I think he. Oh gosh, what does he do? He I think repairs drains on the ground and all that kind of stuff. But he's
you really don't know, do you?
No, I don't know the actual definite the job title. But he's doing well in that regards. He's got three beautiful kids. As well, so he started young.
I was thinking that he must have started real young.
He started young.
Still with the baby mama?
Not the first one, but the second one.
Right.
Yes,
cool.
yeah.
Cool.
And so we got they live not far from mum and dad. His fiance Evie and their two beautiful kids, and so it's every time I get to go to Auckland, I'm like, we'll bring the kids over, bring my little niece and nephew. They're so cute, and excited to see them again. So hopefully stay on after once we get back from Com Games, stay on and spend some good quality time with them for a few days.
Yeah, you seem really connected to your family, eh?
Yeah, well, they've been there obviously since day one.
Actually, before day one.
Yeah, before day one. But, they're the ones that have allowed me and provided me with that foundation to be able to be the person I am today. And so if it wasn't for them, helping me, guide me, support me, give me the odd little, shove and push every now and then, I'm grateful for everything.
They do that. When do they need to give you the shove and push?
Oh, that would have been my younger days.
Yeah, right. Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
were you a handful? I can't imagine it.
I wasn't a handful. No, I was just very competitive and love sport. And sometimes like anything, when your dad or your mum's giving you advice, you don't want to hear it, but when someone else tells you, like, oh yeah, okay,
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I feel it's one of those ones.
The exact same thing.
Yeah, you do though. You save your worst behaviour for the people that you love the most.
I know,
sometimes it's weird.
No, I wasn't. I was an angel. Don't worry.
Yeah. And now let's talk about the Anne Geddes thing.
Geddes, yes.
So I'm older than you. This was big in my era. In the 1990s in New Zealand, pretty much any sort of middle class, in particular Caucasian household, had an Anne Geddes book on the coffee table.
Yeah.
And you were one of Anne Geddes, for anyone that doesn't know, famous New Zealand photographer based in New York now. She used to do photos with babies, like in terracotta pots and
sunflower pots.
And you were like, I'm guessing you don't remember anything of it.
No, I do not. I think I was only about 6
months old.
Yeah.
And you were like dressed up as like a chubby little sparrow.
I was a cute little, okay, so if you see me now, you wouldn't think it, but I was a chunky baby.
Oh, you cute. You had that little baby fat going on.
I was a chubby little sparrow, and then I was also a little sunflower as well in a pot with 2 other babies. And so it was actually crazy. My cousin sent my mum a photo. It must have been last week or something like that. And in Australia, they were talking to Anne Geddes, interviewing her. One of the Australian news things were interviewing her. And of the photo they had in the background was me in the sunflower pot with these 2 other babies. And so that's still going around. And then my auntie was in America maybe 5 or so years ago. She's walking around the streets, and then, inside a bookstore over there, this big blow-up picture of me in the the bird bath. As a baby.
Amazing.
I know, so it's still, pretty popular.
So how did that come about? You must have had conversations with your mum or dad about this. Yeah,
I don't actually 100% know how it came about. I think they were just like searching for babies, and then mum was like, kind of applied and then got selected, took me along, and boom, shot a few photos, and now still going around and still quite popular.
and so your parents must have signed like a release form or something.
Yeah.
So did they get paid any money at the time? Or?
I don't think they got paid any money, but they got to keep, obviously, the images themselves, But so they're at home in their family house.
Yeah, but now that you're an incredibly successful athlete in your own right, and you probably deal with lawyers and contracts and stuff, you must sort of think, fucking,
Yeah, I know.
Where's the ongoing royalties for this shit?
I know, right? How good would that have been?
Yeah. What an amazing thing to be part of, though, especially like given. You were just a tiny baby then, and now you've got, you've gone on to be one of the world's greatest athletes. Really,
yeah, it was pretty cool. So like Anne Geddes, maybe a couple of, it must have been 4 or so years ago now, did a like baby, where are you now type thing, and so I ended up like replying to that comment and ended up emailing her, and then she was like, wow, look at and then posted on her social media, and kind of just did that for a whole bunch of other babies too, just to see where they are now type thing. And I think that's when I was leading into the Rio 2016 Olympics. So yeah, that would have been about 5 years ago now. But yeah, it's just crazy just to see that, this image of me is in a bird bath in a sparrow outfit and a sunflower and a pot is still going around.
Yeah. Oh, it's crazy.
How many, 28 years later almost.
Because you were like 6 months old at the time. It's amazing that they managed to get you. You look real placid, by the way.
I must have been well fed.
Yeah. Or you look well fed. Oh, that's amazing. And I just noticed your ring.
Oh, yes.
Oh, shit. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We need to talk about that. So you got engaged fairly recently.
Yes. So that was in end of Feb, 27th of Feb to be exact.
Right.
Oh, no, it wasn't. 27th of Jan's our anniversary. The 13th of Feb. Sorry, day before Valentine's.
Right. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, what did I read? I read like a Women's Day or Women's Weekly article. Yeah. So your mum and your soon-to-be mother-in-law, they sort of like did some matchmaking.
Yeah, so that's they both love telling the story. Honestly, it's so funny. So I was up for an award at the Northland Multi-Sports Awards, and so was my fiancé at the time. But he wasn't there. He was actually over in Hawaii still like competing and stuff like that. But
what does he compete in?
He's a wakaama paddler, so he does...
Oh shit, the big boats.
Yeah, so there's the single, so it's the canoe that's got it's outrigger canoe.
Right,
yeah, so the waka and then the armour on the side. So he does singles as well as 6-man, 12-man races. He's actually going to the... Wakaama, va'a, I think it's the va'a, they call it, same thing, it's Tahitian va'a. Elite Worlds, Sprint Worlds in London in, when is it, August. So
wow.
so he's competing in that. He's a coach as well as a paddler, so he'll be competing in that, but he also does surf ski paddling and he's dabbled a little bit in K1 sprint paddling too.
Wow.
Yeah.
So where's he from? What's his background?
So he is Māori and Dutch and a little bit of Scottish, I think, is in there as well.
You guys, between you guys.
I know, wait till we have a baby, right? He was chunky too, so I'm hoping for a chunky baby. But he was born in Cambridge, but grew up in Broadwood, up north, far north, like
right.
Kaitaia. So yeah, Northland boy as well. His family home's up in Broadwood still. Absolutely loved going up there. Got stuck in lockdown up there and loved every single minute of it.
Amazing.
But yeah, anyway, so we got put on the same table at the Northland Multi-Sports Awards, our family. So it was me, my mum, dad, and my sister, and then it was his mum, dad, and her sister. His sister, sorry. And so we were, just chatting away, all that kind of stuff. And then, at the end of the night, his mum said to my mum, "Oh, your daughter should meet my son one day." And then from that, obviously I was like, "Oh, you're talking to them." So I gave him a follow on Instagram, and then he followed me back, and that was kind of it until like a day or so later, he had a phone call with his mum, and then she was like, "Oh yeah, we sat next to Tyla Nathan-Wong and her family," and that's when the penny dropped. He was like, "Oh, that's why she followed me, because we'd been talking and all that kind of stuff." And then after that phone chat, he slid in the DMs and sent me a message.
How cool! What was the first message?
Okay, so it was actually a really good message. It wasn't one of those like creepy like.
Hey, how you up to?
Yes, those was like, he's like, here I am wondering why, something like, here I am wondering why a superstar like you followed me on Instagram. And he's like, then I was talking to my mum, and she told me how you were at the same time we were at the awards, and he's like, "Kia ora, Te Pūria King."
Oh, cool.
Message, yeah. And then,
that's nice.
Yeah, it was nice. And then I just replied like, "Oh yeah, like your mum did really well accepting the award on your behalf, blah, blah, blah." And that was it, for a little bit. We just kind of, small chat, how you on Instagram, you can like react, like emoji react. Yeah, it was kind of a little bit of that. And then the conversation started getting more and more until eventually we're like, "Oh, should we like meet up?" And we're like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to, I'm going to Bay Dreams with my sister and my cousins and stuff like that. What are you up to for New Year's?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, I'll come down." Little did I know, he was in full prep mode for his nationals, and like just came down, was only meant to come down for Bay Dreams like on the 2nd and maybe stay on the 3rd of Jan and stuff like that. He ended up staying the whole week, and we hung out the whole week, and that was pretty much it from there. Like I had known him for ages, and
so
all
it
that
wasn't,
kind of stuff.
yeah, because often you can chat to someone online, but it's strange, like on like Tinder and Bumble and things like that.
Yeah, never
like,
use
you can
those,
chat to
but
someone
yeah.
and it,
Never use those, but yeah.
No, neither. But it's like you don't really know someone until you meet them, and then there's the
100%.
chemicals and things like that.
100%.
So there was nothing awkward, and the attraction was
nothing awkward whatsoever. I felt like I'd known him for ages. Yeah, it was just instant, instant for both of us, really. And yeah, it was pretty much, that was it. Like, we hung out that week. I went and watched him play he didn't play, he paddled, race at Nationals, like I think a week or so later. He then came and watched me at the Hamilton Sevens. That was, I think that was our first time playing at home properly. And so he came, bumped into my parents, met my parents, and then asked me to be his girlfriend at the end of that month. So
He asked,
He asked, yes.
Wow.
So you know how that's not really common now, like, it's kind of like, oh yeah, we've been hanging out. Oh,
so
yeah,
assume,
he asked.
How was that? Was that quite lovely?
It was.
It's quite endearing.
It was. So after the Hamilton Sevens, we ended up having like a family friend type gathering. Our team did at one of the restaurants there, just to celebrate winning Hamilton Sevens, playing at home for the first time before we then head to Sydney the next day. And so Mum was like, "You got to come along, like type thing." So he came along, met all my teammates. My teammates like, "Ooh, who's this?" type thing. All that happened, and then he dropped me off back at the hotel. And then as he was dropping me off and saying bye, he's like, we was like, "Oh yeah, blah blah blah," and then he's like, "Do I just ask?" I'm like, "Ask what?" And I was like, go on then. He's like, "Do you want to be my girlfriend?"
That's lovely.
It is. He's a sweetheart.
And clearly you said yes?
Clearly I said yes.
Yeah,
I went back to my room, obviously with a massive grin on my face. One of my teammates, Tanika Willison, just being a smart ass that she is, she's like, "What, did he, joking around, I was like, "What, did he ask you to be his girlfriend?" I was like, "Yes." And she was like... And then I just got jumped on by all of them.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah, and then that was it pretty much. And then not long after that, we got went up north for his mum's 60th, and then the day after, boom, lockdown for.
Was that the first?
That was the very first.
So
lockdown.
March, whatever, 2020.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was early in our relationship, and lockdown for 3 months.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh. Up and north too, isolated. It's like, are you either going to sink or swim in this relationship?
Yeah, way to accelerate the learning process, getting to know each other.
100%, and it did. And I'm quite grateful for the whole, obviously everyone's had different experiences during the COVID period, but for me, I absolutely loved it because it's the first time I've been able to actually slow down and see what life is like without rugby. I'd been so constant for so many years with rugby or just sport in general, at the top level. It actually gave me a chance to be like, okay, what is life like without sport, without that? And I absolutely loved it. I loved my time away. And so I know whenever my moment comes to step away from rugby or sport in general that I'm actually going to be happy doing that because, I've had a
taste of it.
I've had a taste of it, and I know what life's like without it. And I think that was like a blessing at the end of the day for me during that COVID period.
But listen, let's not talk about your retirement just yet.
Yeah. I've still got plenty of time.
Calm down, sis. Calm down. So, what did you find out about each other in lockdown? Like, any sort of annoying things? What?
Not really. Like,
if I asked him, what would he say about you?
Oh, well,
like you learn each other's like
the
annoying.
Women's Day lady asked him. Yeah, I think he just learned how. I think I can't speak on behalf, but I think he learned just how. What's the word? Not competitive. How like
driven, focused.
Yeah, that's it. Driven and focused. I am. Like, yes, we had just been told like devastating news that the Olympics had been postponed or potentially cancelled, and I still would get up every morning and go do some training and exercise with him. Not training, not knowing what the heck was going on, but that's something that I wanted to do because I never knew when it could come back type thing. And so I think that's what he learned. I was driven, focused, all that kind of stuff. And similar with me, like I learned that his mindset is bloody incredible. Like he can go out and do a 30K paddle by himself and be happy just doing that, like he's raced 60-kilometre paddles by himself type thing. Like he's insane. And so I learned how his mindset is and just how strong it is, and to be able to do that's a long time out of the water.
That's
like
mental toughness.
That's 100% mental toughness, and that's something I learned early on in that too. Like he doesn't get paid to do it. Like what I get to do, I get paid to train every single day and all that kind of stuff. He doesn't get paid to do any of that. Like he does it because he loves it, but it's a passion, and he's very competitive in it, and he wants to be the best in the world at it. And so that's something I learned from him. Like he's not getting paid, but he loves it so much that he's willing to go out and sacrifice, all this time with his family over the years to be at his best that he can be. And I was like, I'm 100% support you in whatever you do type thing,
Yeah. So who said I love you first?
He did.
Did he? How long? Was that during lockdown? Was
during
that?
Lockdown,
yeah, okay. Yeah.
He, and then I pretty much said it straight after.
Yeah. Did you, can you remember it? Remember the first time?
We were just chilling, I think, watching TV one night upstairs at their place. And then, he just like looked at me and was just like, I love you.
Oh, that's nice.
And then I pretty much said it straight away back. Yeah. But I remember asking my
sad if you don't know,
I I'd hate to be in that situation, of someone that says I love you and then they don't say it back.
Oh, that's nice.
That's nice.
Oh, that's right. And what about the proposal? Did you know, had you sort of discussed getting married, or was it a complete surprise?
No, so we've been talking about it. So we've been talking about about getting married, and he'd, every now and then he'd be like, oh, wifey, and all that kind of stuff, like, dropping those jokes.
Yeah.
But no, we had discussed it. We even had the odd look at different rings, and he's like, oh, what do you like, type thing. And I didn't even really had a preference at all. I'm just like, at the end of the day, whatever you get is going to be special because you've put time, effort, and thought into it. That's kind of how I saw it.
Yeah.
So I knew it was coming, but I didn't know it was coming on that day. So he actually planned to do it on our two-year anniversary, which was the 27th of Jan, but the weather was really bad. Like, we went out to the beach for dinner and the weather was really bad. It was super windy and cold and stuff like that. And then he also hadn't asked mum and dad yet, so he was like, nah, it's not the right time. I can't do it. And then so I was at that happened, and then he was like, oh, should we go away for Valentine's weekend? And I was like, oh yeah, cool. I'm at Blues Camp Saturday, Sunday, but I can meet you, as soon as I finish my super camp, I'll come down and, we can book an Airbnb and I'll meet you there type thing. And that's what happened, booked the Airbnb, like 40 minutes from where we live, cute little cabin out on like a farm type thing.
Outdoor bath.
Yeah, outdoor bath. 100%.
They all have an outdoor bath.
When I was looking for places, like, I want an outdoor bath. Found it, and then he was going to do it on the actual Valentine's Day, but he was just so nervous and couldn't hold it in. And
then, could you tell? Could you tell that something was up? Was he?
No, so not initially. So I just was like, oh, this is a cute little getaway for us, just to spend some time, because I've been busy with rugby, supers, kind of everything starting back up, and he'd been busy with work. So I was like, oh, this is some time for us to have some quality time together.
Yeah.
It wasn't until literally maybe like just before he asked that I switched on, because we had dinner, we'd cleaned out, we were just like sitting under the stars. He disappears inside. And then our favourite song starts playing. I was like, oh, that's cute, you know, like our favourite song that we listen to. And then he walks out and then he's got his Ponamu on. He literally did not have his Ponamu on when he walked inside. So I was like, what the heck? I was like, that's random. And then like we kind of like just like slow dancing, like just hugging each other. And I was like, oh, you got Po on? He's like, yeah, I need it for a bit of kaha. And I was like, oh, that's when it kind of the penny dropped in my head. I was like, oh, shoot. And then obviously he started saying, you know, sweet things. I can't even remember because I was just like, this is happening right now.
Wow. Oh, so he would have like rehearsed the whole thing, I guess.
Oh, probably, yes,
and you
maybe.
don't even, wow. And what's the song? Is it like a couple song that you have?
It's Millionaire by Chris Stapleton.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Is that your song, is it?
That's our song, yeah. We love a bit of country.
Right. Who did you introduce him to Chris Stapleton or vice versa? Or
So
you both?
no, we both just loved country music, and so, yeah, we'd listen to it. And then one time we were just listening to a bit of country together when obviously we were together, and this is a song that just keeps getting repeated and replayed by both of us. And so, yeah, that's how we fell upon it.
That's a lovely song, that one.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, the opening line to that song, it's something like, do you know what the opening line is? Something about love.
Never costeth this.
No, you can't compare love to gold or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the funny thing is, you can compare love to gold. So what's more special, winning an Olympic gold medal or being proposed to?
I think for me, being proposed to, because that's something that's the rest of my life type thing. Yeah. Winning an Olympic gold was bloody amazing. It's something I've been working towards, but now, you know, finding that person that I can create my own family with and, you know, build upon that life after type thing. So.
Yeah. Oh, cool. And
there you go, babe. Proposal.
Yeah, she said the right answer. Have you got a wedding date? When are you getting married?
Oh gosh, my mum's like, have you started planning yet? No, we haven't got exact wedding date yet, but we do know we're looking at end of next year. So
2023, yeah.
Yeah, so actually today, after this, we're actually doing some wedding planning. Yay!
I don't know if this is a relevant question or not, but it's like you're sort of a brand and you're very well known and everyone knows the name Tyla Nathan-Wong. Are you gonna like keep playing under that name or are you gonna take his name?
No, so I'm actually gonna take his name. I'm gonna take King, yeah.
Oh, it's a solid name.
Great name, eh?
Tyler King.
I know. We're actually gonna both have the same initials, TK. So he's actually got his own business, Train Like a King. So, you know, once I'm done with rugby, I can slide straight into that. TK and all that kind of his apparel and stuff that he does. So
amazing.
Yeah, but yeah, I'll take King. And so the idea being, you know, get married in the next year and then be able to play with King for a couple of years. And at the next Olympics, hopefully, you know, fingers crossed, everything goes well, I make it, I'll run out with a King jersey on.
Wow. Yeah. I can just see in your eyes how happy the thought of that makes you in terms of like motivation.
Yeah, that's 100%. Like that's something I said to him when we did get engaged, like how cool it would be to, you know, have his name on my back and then run out there for the first time and, you know, give his family one of my jerseys just to be like, thank you type thing. And thank you for their love and support as well.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, I hope that happens. I can't see any reason why it won't, the way you're going at the moment. Now, one thing I'd like to ask everyone on the podcast is about their mental health. Mm-hmm. How are you? You good? How are you today? I'm
good, I am good. The last couple of months for me have been a little bit mentally challenging. I've got a little bit of a niggle at the moment, which has kind of been around pre-Canada tourney, and it's not something that can just get fixed like that. It's not anything serious, but it's just constantly there. So it's a little bit draining in that regards. And then, obviously, I got COVID in France, came back for a week or so, and then got knocked down by that nasty flu that's circulating at the moment. So
you're worse than COVID.
It is worse than COVID, 100%. It kicked my butt. Like I'm still like kind of recovering from it. It's only been this is my first proper week back training. Like, I played at Oceanias last week, but I hadn't done any training for 2 weeks before stepping out on that field. So I was only getting little bits of minutes, you know. Yeah. And I was still dying out there. I was asking my teammates. But yeah, so that's just been, I guess, the more draining side, you know, being sick and all that kind of stuff and then having that little niggle. So that's been a little bit challenging for me. But otherwise, I'm really good. Yeah, it's good. It's good to have, you know, I always catch up. It's good to have Tupu home as well because he was over in Tahiti, paddling for the first time over there in like 3 years, and so having him home, someone, you know, to connect with, but then my family's always there too. We're always messaging each other on our little messenger group chat or like video calling each other just to check in and see how each other's going. I think that's important.
Yeah, absolutely it is. Completely it is. And is there any little like tips or strategies or things that you do? Like if you can feel your mental health not being where you want it to be or where it should be, are there any little things you do? You journal or anything? Or
nah, so I don't journal. I'm not one of those ones that likes to journal or like say wake up at like the start of daylight and go to the beach type thing. That's just not me. Like I love my sleeping. I love sleeping. So first one, sleeping in.
I saw your one of your teammates and friends, Ruby Tui. Like she's into her morning dips at the beach or whatever. Each to their own.
100%. Each to their own. For me, I think it's just like noticing and not putting like a negative, positive spin on whatever feelings are coming in at that moment. And so just embrace them and acknowledge them. And that's something that I've learned through rugby as well and the different psychologists that we've worked with over the years. Like just notice it, accept it, and then think, okay, what's next type thing. So I think not, trying to bottle everything up and think you're perfect and, nothing's worrying. I think that's what's so incredible about this environment is that they see you as a person first before they see you as a rugby player or an athlete. And so, if there is something going on in your home life, all that kind of stuff, they're like, take the time you need to go sort that out first because we know that we can't have the 100% you if you're not 100% you at home.
Right.
Yeah, so they're very big about that here, and that's what I absolutely love. And, we work with, we've got a psychologist, Kylie, and we work with her, and so she's open. You could see her whenever you want type thing, whether it be a text, a phone call, Zoom, in-person type thing. And so, you can go to her for anything. And so it's not just about rugby here. And for me, it's not just about rugby. And so that's kind of the things I've learned over the course of time and just, accepting it and then knowing that you can, find your person or people or whoever it is that you can, I guess, talk to and, connect with and allow whatever's going on to be tabled and to express that, because I think when you do hold on and bottle up, it just gets worse.
Yeah, absolutely it does. That's one thing I've been guilty of my entire life.
Haven't we all? Like, there's 100% been moments in here where there might be something going on at home and I've just come in, and no one has no idea what's going on whatsoever, yet it's, slowly eating away at me inside what's going on, and it's not until I've talked to someone that I finally just felt this, big release. So I've learnt that, I've never been a very emotional person myself, but I think since getting into this relationship with Tupu, he has allowed me to be more open and honest with my emotions and feelings, and that's 100% helped me in everyday life as well as in rugby and stuff, just to be open with how I'm feeling and what I'm feeling.
Yeah, it's good. Nothing wrong with showing a bit of vulnerability.
Yeah, 100%, and that's what this team. That's what this team's about. It's allowed us to be that as well, and it's not just about rugby.
Yeah. Oh, there's some good messages there, some good takeaways that I think anyone can implement into their own life. And good on you for saying you're sleeping.
I love sleeping.
Yeah, and I feel like with mental health, there's no one size fits all. So
100%.
for one person, it might be writing down 5 things in a journal at the end of the day that you're grateful for, but not for everyone.
No, not for everyone. And for me, like you guys see my teammates, I love sleeping, and I'll set my alarm for the last minute to go up and have breakfast and then go to training type thing. That's my time where I can just even if I'm not asleep, I'm just lying in bed for a good hour, just
how good is that?
Having some me time, just chilling there, might be playing a game on my phone, might be looking at the schedule for what's to come type thing, or setting some calendar reminders. Just a bit of me time, for me is crucial.
Whatever works. Some people will be like, oh, you shouldn't have a screen before bed, you should read for 20 minutes, but fuck, if it's an episode of Love Island that's going to make you feel good, go ahead and do it.
Whatever makes you feel good is what I say is.
Cool. That's probably just about a good place to end it. Oh, one last thing. What still drives you now? What motivates?
That's a good question.
You've got a gold, you've got a Commonwealth gold, you've got an Olympic gold, you've got world titles. What is it?
That's an awesome question, because not going to lie, after the Tokyo Olympics, getting that gold, then slowly trying to get back into training, my motivation was at an all-time low. It was really, really hard to get motivated to come back to training again. And I was grateful for the team here. They actually extended our leave period even longer to pushed it back, because I think they knew that just a lot of us just weren't really mentally, physically we would have been sweet, but mentally we just weren't ready to come back in and switch on. I think that's because for a lot of us, we've been here for 11 years now. There's a good chunk 8 to 11, 10, 11 years. And so, you know, when you're doing the same thing day in, day out, it can be very mentally challenging. That's why, you know, trying to find that freshness, that what's, like you said, what's the new thing that's motivating you, what's your why type thing. And so for me now, it's just about having fun. Like, I've achieved pretty much everything, almost everything. And some, that I've wanted to achieve in the space of rugby sevens. And so for me now, it's just about really having that pure and utter joy and fun in what I do every day. I always say the day I don't is the day I will probably like walk away from this team environment, because it can, like, it's not like, you know, people only see the small part, you know, of what we let them see in regards to us as professional athletes, but there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes under it, and it's challenging, like, you know, from selections, from trainings, all that kind of stuff. It's very, very challenging, time consuming, and, you know, you get home and sometimes you're absolutely stuffed from, you know, a day of work, and like anyone, I guess, but yeah, to do that for, you know, constantly push your body to those limits every single day for 11 years, it can get to you. But I think for me now is that, that pure fun is what I want to do. And then also for me it's about putting this team in a better position than what it was type thing. So for me, helping that next generation come through, and when I do walk away eventually from the team, being like, yep, I did all I can to leave this team, this jersey, in a better place. And that's kind of two of the main reasons why I'm still here. I still love what I do, and to help that next crew come through and cement their mark on this team and on the world.
Yeah, what a legacy. Jeez, you're going to miss the business class flights, though.
Oh, I am. Oh, my God. I know. We were talking about this earlier, like, business class flights, that has ruined me for the rest of my life for travel. I am no way paying that much to travel for myself. I am sorry.
That's crazy money. But isn't it nice for you that when you started, it was economy, and, you know, it was like an amateur sport, and now things have progressed to where they are now.
I've been through that growth of women's rugby from that amateur era now to full-time professional, and it hasn't been easy. You know, there's been lots of bumps and stuff along the way, but we've grown together, and the sport is in a really, really good place. And as long as we can continue to grow and leave it in a better place for that next generation to come through, like little girls now can be like, I want to be a Blackfern Sevens player. I want to be a Blackfern, because that is what they want to be, and they can do that now for a job, you know. It's not just a hobby. Yeah,
that's cool. And you get these girls, and they're playing on the beach or in the backyard, and they can be Tyla, or they can be Ruby, or whoever.
Exactly. Like, they now see us on TV. Like, I think they say, like, you know, if they're not seen, how can someone, you know, try and be type thing. And so now we're on TV, the 15s and the 7s, and, you know, they're able to see and be like, wow, I want to be like them. And it's you know, we are role models at the end of the day, and, you know, we are aware of that. And we're still human, you know, we're not perfect, but as long as we can be someone, like, as long as I can inspire someone, like, it's one single person, you know, I'd be so happy with that, whether they play rugby or not, you know, but just inspiring them in some simple way, whether it be just to pursue a goal that they wanted to, that they didn't think they could before.
Yeah, well, I think you're a pretty good role model.
Oh, thank you.
You're a role model as a baby as well. A model with roles.
I'll take that as well.
Yeah. Hey, Tyla Nathan-Wong, best of luck at the Commonwealth Games.
Thank you.
Another medal. Where are the medals, by the way? Last question. Where are the medals?
So the gold...
Don't tell me they're in a drawer somewhere. They better not be in a drawer.
They're not in a drawer. The gold and the silver Olympic medal is sitting on the floating shelves at the base of my bed type thing on the wall. Still in their, like, little carton thing, though. In their, like, thing. They're not actually out on show. And then my gold Commonwealth Games and my World Cup ones are up home with Mum and Dad.
Oh, nice. Oh, yeah, I mean, they're things to be proud of, aren't they? I'm pleased you got them on display.
They are, yeah. Like, I'll 100% bring them out when, you know, if people want to see them and stuff like that. But it's a nice little reminder every now and then, like, you know, when you see, you're like, wow,
I've
still,
done some
honestly,
stuff.
No, I still can't, like, I'm still like, wow. Yeah, I've done some stuff. I did that, like, we did that type thing. It's crazy. Yeah. I still pinch myself.
Amazing. Hey, Tyla Nathan-Wong, thank you so much for your time today. Really enjoyed it.
Oh, thanks, Dom. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're still here. Aren't you the best? Thank you so much for listening all the way through. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. I'm guessing a lot of people don't make it this far. So if you have done, yay for you. I really appreciate it. No pressure, but do me a favour if you want. If you don't already do this, like, subscribe, follow, do whatever you've got to do wherever you get your podcast from. I'm not sure how it makes a difference, but apparently it does. feel free to give it a rating, like a 5-star or a review. And I think the best sort of marketing I can do to spread the word about this podcast and this mission we're on is the word of mouth stuff. So let a friend know if you think they'll enjoy it, or share it on your social media channels. But no pressure to do any of that, only if you want. The main thing is I just appreciate you being here, appreciate you listening to this, and I really hope you got something out of it. Feel free to send me any feedback, complaints, criticisms, whatever you've got anytime. I won't necessarily change anything, but I do read it all and I do take it all on board. Instagram's a good way to get a hold of me. Slide into my DMs at domharveynz or email me, domharveynz@gmail.com. Okay, thanks so much. I hope to see you next week.